Okay. Maybe I'm ready. I had to rush through things today. Well, hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we were still in Yule in Lord of the Rings Online, and we added settings to control our NPC timers window and a new timer for the Ona Kay Eating Competition. Today we're supposed to be working on incremental quest tracking for the Festival Buddy plugin, but I'm having problems logging in to LOTRO at the moment, so we're going to be playing around with this. So this is what I am seeing right now. Error in taking a number in the queue. Error downloading. Blah blah blah. Server replied gateway timeout. I thought this was a me problem, but some people in chat are suggesting that it might be a more general problem. And if so, maybe it gets fixed. But in the meantime, what's a plugin developer to do if you can't actually log into the game? And the answer is we're going to be doing some plugin development using the power of our mind, and what we were going to do was going to be involving reading some code and figuring out what to do anyway. So I didn't actually need to be able to log into the game other than to have a nice attractive background for all the coding that we're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to periodically check in, see if I can log in. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into the code part of it. As always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions. And what we want to do is... what's the problem? Actually, before I get into that problem, I wanted to go back into the GitHub issue tracking the Ona Kay Eating Competition and make sure we'd done everything we had notes on doing and close that out so it's no longer in my issues queue. So, make a visual representation of this. We did this last time, if you were with us. It seems the quest becomes available about 3 minutes before the start of the eating. Yes, that was true. Great. So let's go ahead and come into our source control. Visual timer for the eating contest. Great. So we're going to go ahead and copy that commit, SHA, fixed in blah, close with comment. So when you use a commit SHA, GitHub knows that that looks like a thing, and so automatically translate that into a link to that commit. So you don't have to do anything more complicated than that if you don't want to. So we're going to go ahead and say fixed and SHA, done. That means there were only... no, refresh. Why is this one there? Oh, different thing. And I did so few of the eating competitions this year because it takes so much time for... you only get the XP reward after the last table, that I wasn't really feeling it for the large number of characters I was trying to go through. So that's fine. We're going to leave that. We did complete the other one. So the one I want to look at today, servers allowing, is when you're running around and doing quick guide enabled festival stuff like Yule or like the Midsummer. When you get incremental progress, like defeating the they're not Grumpwoods. They're in the Grumpwood. They're grouchy trees, I think. Whenever you're defeating those grouchy trees, you're collecting the unwilling firewood 1 out of 9, 2 out of 9, 3 out of 9, and so on. And if you're fast enough, the on-screen representation of your quest progress just lags behind, especially when you're doing things super fast. Now, you can pay attention to the quest tracker, but in the Yule festival, it fills up so fast, and so you have to be able to visually find what you're looking for. And if I'm currently using the quick guide to kind of narrow my focus, then it'd be lovely if the entry that I'm working on kind of represents that 1 out of 9, 2 out of 9, 3 out of 9. How do we do that? Well, we can parse our quest progress. The trick is associating it with a quick guide element and updating that element somehow. I never designed the system to be able to support incremental progress, so now we're going to have to see, can we do that? And every once in a while, I'll go back to LOTRO and see if I can log in. In fact, I'll do that now as a good pause. But that's what we're trying to do here. Now, if I was a clever person, I might have actually copied... yep, there we go. Example quest channel text. Collected unwilling firewood, 9 out of 9. Cool. Let's go ahead and comment that. So we want to be able to take those types of things and display them. Yeah, that pre-caching game logic's taking a while too. That's okay. That feels like a me problem. Yeah, that getting in line to connect is something. I'm kind of tempted to duck over to the official LOTRO Discord server and see if anyone else has mentioned that. Okay. That question has been posted. So, there we go. Okay, so in the quick guide, in general, when I'm going to edit the Festival Buddy quick guide, I'm going to start with quickguides.lua because I don't remember how this works. This looks like general functionality. So let's maybe go with, take a look at how one of these things is set up, and that might give us ideas of how to change it. There's not much to hide in the background, what with the game not being there. So let's just make this full screen, more or less. Shove it out from under my face. Okay, so we have this listing here is the list of things that should go in the quick guide in the order that they should go in the quick guide. It looks like. Oh no, maybe not the order. Hang on. Yule index in the spirit of Yule. Okay. What's that? Great. I still don't know what that is. Let's keep digging. We have Yule. Oh, the general Yule. Okay, good. Here we go. Okay. So, I'm used to programming languages that have lists where you can insert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items in that list, and they sit in that order. In Lua, everything's a dictionary, and you can get sort of that implicit ordering if you add an item to a dictionary and you just say, here's the thing that goes in. Lua will go ahead and put it in the next available slot if you sort of numerically go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That kind of thing. But if you want to be able to move things around easily, then that's a problem because then you're hard coding all of those indices. And so if this was actually, let's see, what are we doing in here? Table, so that's going to Yule index. Great. So if this was actually written, Yule index 1 equals, in the spirit of Yule, that's fine. Oh, that was supposed to be in quotes, wasn't it? So that's what this next line essentially gives us, right? But we know index is 1, so we could have done that, and we could have said index equals index plus 1. Table value. So that's what that essentially is. And if we had done the next one, now index is 2, moving them off. But why did I not do this? This is a little error prone, or fragile is what it felt to me, I imagine. This was hours ago, possibly days or years ago. If you leave one of these off, you will cause problems. So if you don't have that, if you accidentally, change the value there to something else, it does give you an awful lot of +1s just lying around in your code. And yeah, if it seems like you could easily run into problems because you have a lot of index equals index plus 1, index equals index plus 1, that needs to be there for everything to work correctly, but doesn't really help you understand the code when you're reading it after the fact. So instead of doing that, I ended up just having a function that does it instead. The function adds the items and then increases, and so you just say index equals that, and then there's only a single thing on the right side of the equals. You don't have multiple statements per line or multiple lines per thing that we're doing. I imagine that's what I was thinking. I don't mind what I did. Obviously, it wasn't specifically necessary, but it solves this problem here of either you have multiple things per line or you have this, which just, ugh. I'm not a fan of that. Hello, little one. What's up? Okay. I know, all my talking has woken up a cat. So, this is how we're getting these things, and what that means is that we have a index for each one of these. So the value, the table, so that's a Yule index with the value in the spirit of Yule pickup, and that's a string value, is going to be equal to the index itself. And that gives us an ordering in the UI that is monotonically increasing, 1 to n. Well, strictly increasing, really. Okay, so that's what that was. Why do I have a changed file? Don't know. So now we know the indices for each of these. The values in here, the thing that we're displaying is more complicated because we wanted to be able to color code entries. And so because you can change those colors in the options, you can't render it. Well, you can either render it ahead of time and then re-render everything whenever the options change, or you can just, when it's time to do a display, you say, how do I show you? It renders itself and then gives you back a string. I went with that, I think, to be clever. It's not the only way. I'm not sure if there's really a strong performance difference between each time you need to refresh the text, you recall that function versus just clearing everything and starting over. Clearing everything might be slightly better because we don't change the UI that often. But that wasn't how I went, so that's what's going on here. But that means these functions can also take advantage of the count of that current item, maybe. That might actually be interesting because we want to be able to update those items. So, okay, so if these functions where there is incremental progress, if we can do something in this function, then that will allow us to update as long as there's something that triggers it to reread this dot display. Let's see where dot display is used. Okay, so we know that if it's a string, hi, can I help you? Yeah. Do you want to purr on mic? Yeah. Okay. Bye. I think he's gonna lie down next to me. Filled a queue for server. That's new. Okay. Well, if anyone in chat does successfully connect to the game, that will help me know that it's probably just me and not the universe in general. Okay, so we have a block here that's checking the type of display. If display is a string, that's going to be over here, then it's just going to display whatever is there. And if it is a function, then we're going to go ahead and call that function to get the text. Okay, then what? Then the text goes there. So what's the point of doing it as functions instead of... Okay, what happens when we change a color? What was I doing other than being silly and clever, which is always worthwhile, but clever is often comes at the cost of maintainability, which is why I bring it up. Okay, so we want color. Oh yeah, draw quick guide options. Hi, bite. That's chocolate. Don't eat that. Nah, nah. Chocolate's bad for you, or at least it's bad for dogs, and I assume you're a dog. What with all your behavior? Yes. Hi. I know. I know. All right, so dark quick guide options. We're gonna do color sections. Okay. Use colors and then a color row. So we create the color row. Great. What does this do? So there's a change button. When we change that, we load festival. Okay. What does loading festival do? We clear all the nodes. So oh yeah. Okay. So if this were just if that were just stringed out format whatever instead of a function, then the value here can't be recalculated because it's set once. That's why it is a function, so that it can be recalculated at all. Okay, good job past me. I don't think you were being overly complicated. You were just solving the problem in a way. What's up, you? Yeah? You gonna calm down? Okay. Casper is unsettled. I know. There's no little redhead today for you to sit next to you. Okay, so if we change a color, then that resets everything. I do not want to have to reset everything. Oh, awesome. Tellurian reports being able to log in now. Slow, but it seems to work. I'll give it a try. I like having LOTRO on in the background on a LOTRO stream. It's great. Pew! Oh no, I'm making funny noises. Okay. So when you change the color, we have to recalculate everything. The easiest way to do that apparently was to do the quick guide load festival. I feel like that's not the only way. When we create the nodes, let's see, create nodes. We're doing a objective text. We're setting that for the checkbox. So this just needs to be updated instead of refreshing all of those boxes. That's interesting to me because can we get that checkbox? It's in the tree node, so as we go through each tree node, we could have a function that does that. So function update node text. So that takes a tree node, but what else does it take? We need the checkbox. Okay, so local checkbox equals tree node dot capital B checkbox? Don't know about that. Boop. Okay, so capital B checkbox, and then within that, we also need the objective. We need the objective, which is quick guide index. Okay, do we have the index? We do have the index, actually. Okay, so local index equals that, and then Tellurian reports that loading character data seems stuck. You know what? Just getting to a character selection screen would be progress. It's fine. So we can get the objective now because we can get quick guide selected festival index because we have that. Selected festival is just a global. Okay. So in order to support the colorization of quick guide objectives, the display string can't be statically initialized. In this case, it will be a function that we call. Sure, that sounds great. So objective.display equals that, blah, 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 blah. We have objective text, and then set text, checkbox, great. And we can do that all with just the tree node. Hey, Tellurian made it to the character selection. Oh, I didn't. Oh well. Well, it's not stopping me from writing code yet, so we're good. Hi. You know. I know. So, update node tech. Oh, I forgot to check. How is my working directory? We're going to want to make sure. Okay, that's fine. Debug and debug. Both debug things are great. Wait, did I save? Okay, now we can see that. So, this update node text, it is something that could be called here. So instead of calling set text here, we can call it here, update node text. This is tree node. And that will prove that this works because either it renders all the nodes correctly or they're all blank checkboxes. But once that proves this out, so let's make some notes to ourselves about what we need to do. When LOTRO is available, make sure refactoring the update node text, factoring into the update node text function didn't break things. Awesome. But what we can see is that objective text is no longer being used here, so we can actually get rid of that and this as well. Now, is objective still being used? Yes, it is. Delirian is now trying on the next server, having tried Grand. Well, no worries. I suspect this is not just a me problem, since you are also seeing the problems. That's great. We'll just try back every once in a while. Okay, so nothing else went gray here, so everything else seems to be in use. That's fine. So what that means is, given a tree node, we can update it. And we could update all tree node texts next. Thanks to Larry for checking. Says about 37 complaints in the bug channel on Discord. Awesome. Well, I have access to a channel they don't, where streamers can report problems. Not that that will help them fix the problem any faster, but they call it 38. Okay, so function update all node text. All nodes text. And this we don't need. We need the tree view. Okay, where do we get the tree view? Okay, that's in double quick guide tree view. Great. And we need to go through each one of them. Okay, so local tree view equals that. How do we iterate through a tree view? I don't remember, but we're going to find out. So apparently there's a get nodes function. Awesome. I want to see if we're using it to do any other iterations. There we go. Get checkbox. Tellurian has looked and was exaggerating. It's only 11 plus 1. Okay, so we can iterate like this. The tree view has a get nodes function. Nope. And that get nodes has a get count function. And so we can iterate from 1 to n. And for each one of those, we can get the node. So update node text. And this is tree view get nodes. And this is get, and that's I. So that just goes through and has each node recalculate itself. That seems like a better way to do it than the Quick Guide Load Festival. So let's find each instance of Quick Guide Load Festival and see if we agree with it. In the options window, create color row. Okay, Quick Guide location color checkbox. Change button. All three of those can go ahead and get fixed. Well, I say fixed, changed. That will also, and we should make a note for ourselves, does changing color, any color option still update the list correctly? Question mark. Because instead of recreating every node, we're just telling every node to re-render itself, in theory. Okay. Options. Anything else? This is use quick cut. Yeah, okay. So if we're using them, we still don't need that. Awesome. So that gives us a clear path forward to test the update all nodes text, which will in turn exercise the update node text. So does constructing it in the first place. So awesome. So we have a clear path forward for both of these two items. I really want to do markdown, but Sublime Text isn't going to render that right now. That's okay. Maybe one of these days I'll switch to Obsidian on stream or something. Okay. So, changing colors no longer redoes everything. Now we have a clear example that shows us how we can tell a specific node to update itself. The question is, how do we associate incoming quest channel text that says, you did 1 of 9 with an objective? How do we find that tree node? And then once we have that, we can just say, hey, update yourself. Let's use the unwilling firewood as an example because it's super easy. And I have the exact text for that. But I am going to rely on the LOTRO companion data dumps for the other quest strings where appropriate, because we are post-Yule in theory. I can't check, but I'm pretty sure we're post-Yule. So while we still have maps that can get us to Winterhome, if we so desire, if you kept them, there won't be any quest objectives that you can advance once you're there. There won't be any quests that you can pick up once you're there. All of the above. Cordovan, 2 minutes ago in the official LOTRO Discord server, says we are currently working to fix an issue preventing login to multiple game worlds. Well, that sounds rough. I hope that doesn't affect anyone we know about. I'm going to assume until we see a update from Cordovan that it is still being fixed. So, no worries. We're not done investigating. So, we need... This is a language-specific thing. Let's... Fillion says, a further investigation hinted at. More complaints in LOTRO chat. Okay. We need an example of each language. This is a language-specific thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a search. And we're going to set up my search first. It is off screen. Just a moment. Okay. So, we're going to search for collected unwilling firewood. Now, we're not searching for the parentheses part of it. We can see in the quests.xml export that there is, where is it? There it is. Collected unwilling firewood, space parentheses, number/total. Awesome. We don't necessarily want that word for word as far as the replacement values, but we do want to be able to do something like that. So we're probably going to be storing a Lua regex pattern. Sorry, not a regex, but we'll store a Lua pattern in the string that we can apply against a quest chat and say, does that match? And if it does, we'll go ahead and extract the number and total value, at least the number. The total shouldn't ever change. I was trying to think, is there any quest where the total changes in the middle of the quest? And I was thinking of the mission where you're delivering pies and you have to deliver 60 pies, but the total doesn't change. You just get a new objective after a while. I don't want to spoil that, but it is delightful. So that tells us that we can use this. We can find that. So let's go ahead and just grab that. So that's one. This is the English. I don't need the line number. That's too likely to change and too unlikely to help us. All right, and that gives us the Russian also. Festival Buddy is not very Russian friendly, but I'll go ahead and document it here. And I guess not surprisingly, the German entry is the longest. Okay. Unwilling firewood. Values for each LC supported language. So, whatever we do, wherever we store this, it needs to be in the language-specific files because it is a language-specific string. So that narrows our focus down. It can't be in the generic UL file. It has to be in the language-specific UL file. But this is where we would do the rendering. So unwilling firewood. So that's take from, continue, collect 9 firewood. So this is where we would have a function that renders the current progress, maybe. And so this entry here, if we had something like kg UL progress equals a table, and if this entry, so this equals that, is it a string? I kind of want to refine my thinking of what this string would look like. So let me see if I still have a link to a Lua pattern sphere. There we go. This one is more extensive than I want it to be. So collected unwilling firewood, and I kind of want to use this though. We need it to be, okay, so we're doing a capture. Great. How do we do? Okay, so percents escape, excellent. We need an actual number in here, and that is going to be digit, %d maybe? Yep, digits, excellent. Divided by %d. So, collected unwilling firewood matches exactly. We might, yeah, we can put a new line there. Escaped character matches the literal parentheses because otherwise it's a group, a capture group. Then we are capturing digits, and we need how do we capture more than one? There's a star. 0 or more. Okay. Why isn't it updating correctly? I'm wondering if that star is not doing what I think it is. However, let's search for a star. Oh, that's not nearly so helpful as I was hoping it would be. Let's search for parentheses star. Nope, not in here, it's not. Where do I do this? Where do I look at this? Do I do pattern matching very often? Probably not. Great. Okay, so we can do dot star, And the real question is %d, does that imply 1 or more? I don't know. Also, it does raise the question of Lua patterns. It matches any digit, so you can do up to 2 of them like that. Okay. Show me a star. And we're just at lua.org here for the reference. 0 or more repetitions. I do need a plus, though. All right. For instance, to match an empty parentheses pair such as that, you use the pattern. That. Sure. Okay. Then that star is fine and necessary. So we could actually just do 9 here. That would be fine. And this needs to be plus. However, we don't actually care, and if we hard-coded it and they eventually change it to 8 or 10, we would miss that. Seems unlikely that they would ever do that. Is there a benefit to grabbing both of them, other than because we can? I don't know. I'll think about that. But in the meantime, we do want those to be pluses if we're going to do this. Okay. So that is a thing that we could scrape out of the quest completion, the quest channel. And that would be, if we collect that, we need this. Yeah, okay. So we need a place to store this. It could be back in that tree node, in fact. But if the rendering doesn't happen here, if we wanted to assign a color to it, I don't know. Let's go look at our highlight functions. We currently highlight locations, quests, NPCs, and quest item. I'm going to say we're not going to worry about coloring right now, but we should be able to shoehorn it in later if we need to. Okay. So, how do we, after we've detected this, Yori says, hello, hello, welcome to a stream. Lori asks, are you an official LOTRO dev? It's kind of you to think that. I am not. I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of plugins in the game, and I'm here streaming about writing plugins for LOTRO. But I am not an official dev, and I too, if you're having any problems logging in, it's also affecting me. But I'll give it a try. Just it's been a little while since my last attempt. We're currently investigating instability in the login environment, preventing login to multiple game worlds. You know, I wish 20 or 30 years ago they had concretely settled much more on log in versus log on and whether or not there was a space or not, because I don't like what they've done here, but I never like it when I write any variation of that. They're all plausible without being instinctive, and you already have some kind words. I will say that it sounds, when I think about all the things you have to do to be a developer on a game like Lord of the Rings Online, it sounds like a very complicated job. There's so many moving parts in there, and they are dependent not only on all the software they write, but all the hardware between their machines and my machine, and the hardware on my machine before it even gets to the software on my machine. So they're working a much more difficult job than my day job. So from a stress perspective, my life is way less stressful. But yeah, there's a part of me that wonders, wouldn't it be neat to work for a video game company? Not necessarily LOTRO, but I certainly spend enough time in there. But it's not where my current skill set lies. Although I have a fair amount of experience with the plugin environment within Lord of the Rings Online, there's so many other aspects from networking to graphics to game engines that I just have not enough experience to really jump in without needing a lot of on-the-job training. And that's a normal thing to need when you get into a new environment, but I don't think I would be an asset to the team at Standing Stone Games anytime in the near future if they were pursuing me and I was pursuing them. But fortunately, that's not a problem we need to solve today. What I need to solve today is to figure out what is going on with this, and do we initialize it anywhere else before I need to do something. Oh, in quick guides. Awesome. Cool. So we'll go ahead and make a progress entry here. And then here we can go ahead and say progress equals that, quick guide, progress of Yule. And I can drop my mouse off the computer. That's pretty special. Okay. So, did I convince myself that I did the right thing there? I think I did. I don't actually understand where the entry for Yule comes in. So if we do Yule, tell me more about that game. Okay. I'm not convinced. I have a good enough understanding of where that is initialized, but we can just go ahead and pretend. Great. Quick guide progress equals just a new table. Cool. And then we can use it in the client in the language specific file. Okay. So let's come on in. We have a plausible place to put this. We have a plausible way to store it. Does this regex match? If so, this is the thing what it applies to. So how do we get a tree node associated with this index? I don't know. Let's find out. So index. We can find a tree node dot index. Okay. Get checkbox. I kind of want to get tree node. Excuse me. Okay, so what I'd like is, a function, return tree node. So function get tree node from index, and sure, nil. You can return that. So let's go ahead and essentially do this, because we're going to rewrite that function to use this one. So if tree node index equals index, then return tree node. Bam! Okay. Undefined field, don't worry about that. Okay. If I were doing this properly, I would subclass the tree node perhaps, so that it has all the fields that I want, and then the IntelliSense would recognize it, but okay. Local tree view equals that. Nope. Local tree node equals get tree node from index. And then if tree node, then return tree node dot checkbox. And then we don't need any of that. And now we have a get tree node from index. Okay. We have an index. We can get the tree node. Therefore, we can call that new function that we have. So, in theory, we could say if, I mean, this is going to be pseudocode. If chat message matches thing progress message, then we can get tree node from matches progress message, then using the index that that we get from the match, call, and then we know we have an update node text. Call update node text get tree node from index. But update the value that the display function will use to render, and then oops. So that's the general idea that we're looking for. We're finding progress messages that match. So we need to hook into the quest channel. We need to, if it matches, then we have an index. We need to set this value somewhere using that index. And that's the part I don't know about yet. So where do we put this? The straight answer for me is probably, let's get that tree node. So using the index, tree node equals get tree node. Tree node dot, and what are we calling this? Number and total. Number equals first capture. Tree node dot total equals second capture. And then update tree node. Is it that easy? Probably not. But my goal is for this to not have been overly complicated, and we might be there. Okay. Sorry, distracted by a sleeping cat. Okay, where would this code live if we're not just pseudocode, but actually implemented? Well, we have a place called chat logger. Let's see how it handles quest messages. So first of all, if we have a centralized chat received, which is the callback function we give turbine.chat, we assign it to .received. That's going to be this named function, not an anonymous function. And I think I made it a named function so that the debug system could hook in there and just send something to chat received as if we had received it from the game. So we receive this and we check out args.chatType, and if it is quest, then we're going to go ahead and send this message along to filter quest. Great. So what do we do in filter quest? Okay. So in order to know that we are responding to a chat message, the quick guide, for reasons, wants to know that. So the first thing we do in processing quests is say, hey, we're doing this, and then at the end we say, okay, we're done. Probably as a recursion thing. I think it was solving a problem. If you were holding shift when you completed a quest, the quick guide would originally interpret that as you holding shift when you clicked a thing, and we needed to be able to differentiate between you clicking and the quest, the coming in through the quest channel. So cool. We're going to go ahead and filters here for use with the quest channel. Oh, okay. Sure. I'm going to put a space there. What do we do here? Completed, filter failed, check for in progress that is completed or failed. Okay, new quest, Hobnanigans, Farmer's Fair, quick guide, handle quest channel text message. Okay, that's promising. If there's a quick guide and a corresponding quest, objective, mark the objective complete. If this is an incremental objective, update its stored values and refresh the text. E.g. example given could be a way to, there we go. Collected unwilling firewood. Unwilling firewood, 5 of 9. So, this is where this would go. So, let's go ahead and transform this into actual code. So, if string.match, I want to say, and this is the string of C message, the pattern of, and we can't just do a normal lookup, can we? We could iterate through each one of these. There's not that many of them. Let's, if, local progress equals this, if not progress, then return end. Local festival progress equals progress current festival. How do we normally do this? Selected festival. Okay. So, if progress of selected festival, because that, if not festival progress, then return, and just don't even worry about it if we don't have something valid. Then for key value in pairs of festival progress, do end. Okay. And in here, if we match that against the key, Oh, and let's not do key. Let's do pattern and index. So we're going to go ahead and match pattern. Match returns captures, otherwise not. Local number total equals string match. If number and total, then, so if we got something, then do stuff. Okay. What? Using the index that we got, we have an index. So local tree node equals get tree node from index. Okay. Then sure, tree node dot number equals number. Tree node dot total equals total, and then update tree node. Update node text tree node. Great. Is it really that easy? Probably not. For one thing, we do not have these initialized yet. So we do want to be able to initialize those meaningfully. But let's go ahead and think about that by going to the create node. Okay, so tree node dot. Now, we need to know, okay, we have the objective. This is in quick guide, select a festival index. Tell me more. Yes, okay. So in quick guide, in those indexes that we got from creating those, great, this is where we can store that information. We already have access to that. So unwilling firewood, we have I've lost track of that new function that I made. Number and total. Great. Number equals 0. Total equals 9. We'll hard code that from here, and then we can pull it from the chat. The chat message should be identical. Okay, so number equals 0, total equals 9. Great. If we have those, then we can go ahead and use them. Oh yeah, I need to get rid of a bunch of these. Nope. Great node, great. So if, oh, we have objective here, great. If objective dot number, then tree node dot number equals objective dot number. Do we need that? Number's always going to be 0. It's not always going to be 0. But I think for festivals it generally is. I'm thinking, for instance, when you are doing the Moria introduction and one of the youths tasks you to go get some stones. They've already collected a couple of them, so your count actually starts at 2 out of 6, for instance. So I can't think of any. Festival-related quest like that, but the fact that that is possible, I don't know. I don't think we need that. But we can do total then and number equals 0 and tree node dot total equals objective dot total. That's fine. And we can always add in that number and initialize that here as well. So with that, oh, the problem storing it here is, well, a consequence of storing it here is how do we get that value into this, available to this function? Now we have the index definitionally. The index is there. So we can get the tree node and get those values. Would it make more sense to store it somewhere else? I mean, for instance, all of these dot displays here in Yule, so we're in Quick Guide Yule, and we're setting the dot display of an entry. So there's an inherent dot display happening here. If we had a function not sure, it could just be stored here, and we could just reference it in the tree node. Okay, well that's a reason to put it here then. All right, and that is number. Hi. What's that? You want to come say hi to people? You want to come up here? No? You think it's a trap? It is a trap. That's okay. I'm not going to harass you too much. All right, so if the number is stored here instead, and the tree node just uses it, then that's fine, probably. How do we use it? It would be, if we need to color code it, it has to be done somewhere, but it doesn't have to be done there. Okay. Yeah, you need that blanket. Quick guide win. So if the objective total, then we don't really need that here, do we? Because we have the objective here, okay, so if objective dot, one of these days I'll remember what I'm doing, total, then, and, height. I think you're not going to like this, but we can try. Come here. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I didn't think you'd like that. Come on, over there. Thank you. So that was Casper. So local progress text equals nothing. And then if there is a total, then progress text equals, and it's going to be objective dot number slash objective dot total. Something like that. And we could do a string dot format as well. In fact, that might be nicer to look at. String dot format. Let's take a look at that. Placeholder for a string, excellent. Placeholder for a number, D, great. So let's do string dot format, and in that case, it would be space parentheses slash, and that's going to be a number, or that's going to be a number. and it's going to be objective.number. Now, I really enjoy the string interpolation that we get from things like C#. Hi, are you back? You want more? Okay, you walked away, so I assume you don't want me to pick you up again. String interpolation is very handy for small strings because you don't have any confusion about what's going here. It would look like you would indicate it's an interpolated string with the @ sign. This is C#, so don't do this in Lua. And then objective.number would come in here in braces, and then objective.total would come in here also in braces, and it would be essentially the same thing. But you can get a very visceral visual idea of how things are going to substitute in, instead of just being like, well, I have these and they go there. Both of these get unwieldy if you're doing large strings. You should break them up into pieces anyway, probably as a string builder, blah, blah, blah. But I find that very handy for visualizing short string formatting like this. Alas, we don't have that. So we're going to go ahead and objective fix equals text, and then we'll go ahead and add in the progress text, which, if there's no total, will be blank, and if there is a total, then we will re-render it. This update node text is happening because we have updated these values, but notice that we have changed where we're storing this information. We actually need it to be in the objectives. So for that, we need this objective. Okay. So we need the objective from the index. So we have quick guide, select a festival index, objective, and then it's going to be objective dot number, and then objective dot total, and then and this will grab that objective and use those values. Now, part of me thinks this is overly complicated to store in the tree node, and then both places can use the tree node, but I do want to separate out the data that we have from the UI that is using it conceptually. I think just storing the stuff in the UI elements can be fine for small things, but as things get bigger and more complicated, what if you wanted to show this somewhere else as well? Well, now this UI is digging into this UI to get those elements, and if they update here, then it's a whole thing. So we're gonna just not store them there for now and suffer the extra lookup of getting the objective again on this end of the function, and I think that's fine. So we have a way to detect whether or not, well, we have in theory a way to detect. Hi, are you back? We have a way to detect in the sense that every time we get a quest objective, we could parse through or do some parsing and see, does this match any of our progress indicators? Now, there's not that many progress indicators in the Yule. So we're going to have half a dozen to a dozen of these. But getting that in every quest objective, I'm not a big fan of. The alternative is just spelling them out. If there are not that many of them, and I'm not worried about the performance hit, then we could spell them all out. 1 to 9 for the firewood, 1 to 5 for the mushrooms, 1 to 5 for the berries, 1 to 4 for the frosty weather, 1 to 3 for the bread, and not worry about doing pattern matching at all. I think that's still an option. Hi. We would have to store the value then. This would not just be a single index, but this would then be a table itself that would have number, total, and index. Right? All three of those would have to be populated in here. So I'm going to not do that for a moment, but we do have that. Note, could switch to storing each incremental progress string instead, question mark? Performance versus memory trade-off, question mark? Cat staring at me because he wants scritches, question mark? Yeah, I know. You can sit here if you want. I know, the blanket's not as soft. Okay. But for right now, this is fine. Okay. Gotta ask, can I hop back into the game to test this, or should I write more code? Okay. Precaching game logic is also doing a weird thing on my machine. Normally it goes much faster than that. Okay, let's get in line to connect. So, it would be useful to have strings for other quests. Let's remind ourselves which quests have these. Moving them off has individual things that we can detect, so I'm not worried about it. Abominable Snow Beast, yes. So, we can track that here probably. Quests that have progress. Abominable Snow Beasts. Yep. What else? Moving them off, no. Moving them off, no. Cold as Ice does. And man, for some reason, Cold as Ice, I frequently was getting back to town only to realize I'd done 3 out of 4 of them. And it's like the thing would have turned green and checked itself off if I'd done it, but just missed it. Making Mischief. Yep, that is one of them, because that's going to be 0 to 8. Moving on. Empty Keg Emergency. Nope, that's all or nothing. Tidying Up. Yes. Oh, there's 3 different things here. Ooh. No, that's fine. There's 3 different objectives. Tidying Up times 3. Okay. Making mischief, la la la. Stuffing the stuffed. That is going to be make 3 fresh breads. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the tidying up specifics. Clean up 10 liquid spills and clean up 10 reeking garbage. Okay. Empty keg, nope. Filling the field. Broken snow person. Collect 5 eggs, yep. Collect 9 firewood for unwilling firewood. Did I actually record that one? Okay. Cold as ice, disperse the 4 wintry weather. There we go. Stuffing the stuff. Collect 5 fresh winter berries. Hackbeard says, hey, is login broken for everyone else? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I am certainly encountering a error when I try to log in, probably the same one. Note that the launcher does say, we are currently investigating instability in the login environment, preventing login to multiple game worlds. So yes, you are not alone. It is affecting me, which is kind of a bummer because I would like to be testing some of the changes I'm making in the plugin code. But that is the life of a plugin author. Sometimes you just gotta write code and make notes of what you're testing later. So that's where we are. I'll let this error out here, but the error I have been seeing most regularly is error taking a number in the queue, error downloading blah, server replied gateway timeout. Hacker said, I read that, but I saw the servers came back and thought maybe it's now my connection. But they're getting the same error message. Yeah, I thought it was my connection too, because I had just rebooted my machine when I first saw this error message, because I had been logged in before I rebooted, but I rebooted just to make sure everything was good before I started streaming, and then I couldn't log into the game, and I was like, oh well. At least I have other things to do. We're writing changes to the Festival Buddy 2 plugin and just flying by the seat of our pants with no in-game testing at the moment. So cheer at Snow Beast 3 times. That's the abominable snow beasts. Stuff in this stuff. Collect 5 pampered mushrooms. Hackbeard proposes that I'm writing code for them to fix this issue. No, this is just plugin code. Much simpler and much less critical if I get something wrong. So much less stressful. No, this is just the Festival Buddy 2 plugin. We have finished the Yule Festival in-game, but as a plugin writer, we can fake out the plugin to make it think that we're still in the festival for certain things. So we can pretend like we just picked up or completed a quest. We can pretend like we just completed a quest objective or saw something in /say. So all of those things we can fake out. And that's partially because the Lua API that LOTRO exposes for plugins to interact with the game doesn't actually give us a way to interact with your quest status. So we have to rely on parsing chat messages to say, oh, you picked up this quest, you dropped off this quest, you did this quest thing. And that's fine, but that means that we can fake it out by just simulating those quest messages, as opposed to actually looking at your character's quest information under the covers and getting information from that. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. Because we have to respond to chat messages, very easy to fake out for testing purposes. So it doesn't matter that Yule has finished, I can pretend like it has not, for my purposes. Okay, so turn, continue. We need to gather coal. There is only one coal, so nothing to do there. This is a broken snowman and filling in field. Cold as ice, that's turning in. So really it's all the continues or continue withs that I need to worry about. So charitable spirit, those are specifics. Is it just continues? Yeah, okay. Biggest stomach of them all. Eat food. I'm not going to worry about those. I can't remember how those... I haven't done that recently enough. Okay. So, if it is continue bracket, setting off the fireworks, looting the 8 distracted patrons. Okay. That's the one that we're missing here. Okay. Pick up, make 3 fresh spreads. I got that. Yep. Gather a stick. That's fine. 5 eggs, 9 firewood. 5 eggs, 9 firewood. That's great. Okay, cool. Hackbeard asks if I'm looking for any volunteer extra dev help. Well, if you're talking about Lord of the Rings Online itself, which I am not, I do not work for Standing Stone Games, so I can't speak for them. They tend to work with full-time employees who live in the New England area. And you can find out more information about their job postings at the Standing Stone Games website, or possibly Daybreak, one level above them in the corporate structure. As far as plugins go, yeah, there's a big community of people who either submit code changes or patches on plugins. So if you, especially if you use a plugin a lot, like you're a big fan of Festival Buddy or Minstrel Buff or Mini Raid or whatever, that's a great opportunity for you to say, I use this and I would like to see this change. For instance, Prime Bags, and I need to actually submit this change, but I like it when the options in Prime Bags show things alphabetically. And by default, they did not last I checked, but I'm a few updates behind. So yeah, if you are into coding and you want to try out plugins, or if you want to use this as a way to get into coding, that's totally fine. You can usually find the plugin authors over on the LOTRO interface site, and you can message them there and say, hey, I have this change I want to do. How can I submit the code change to you to include it, or should I submit it as a patch? Because LOTRO interface also has that as well. Now, I personally do not mind if people try to help out with Festival Buddy, but I appreciate that I have made some convoluted things. So if you struggled there, don't fret. There's lots of other plugins as well. So my interfaces can be seen over on LOTRO Interface, but yeah, okay. Patches, patch. So at some point, Titan Bar was missing some currencies. This patch is outdated. Don't use it because Titan Bar has rolled these changes in. But I just introduced a change that added these 5 currencies to Titan Bar and fixed a few other things while I was at it. And those eventually rolled into the main Titan Bar plugin, and now there's a GitHub plugin for Titan Bar, and I can just submit changes there. And the current maintainer, which is no. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Duriel? No. That's wrong. Titan Bar. I'm sorry, Fanshin. I'm forgetting your name. So the current maintainer of Titan Bar is, of the current Titan Bar version is Fanshin, and they have a GitHub repository for these things. So I can just push a change out there and request a pull, do a pull request, and they can merge it in if they like the changes. So you can find my stuff over on GitHub, and so github.com/b414213562/festivalbuddyi for Festival Buddy 2. And so this is a place where you too could probably submit pull requests. I don't remember if I've set it up correctly. If not, message me. So yeah, but I think the best way to get into plugins at all is satisfying a desire that you have. So not necessarily like, oh, I could donate time to do what this other person wants. Like, you use a plugin and you're like, oh, I would love it if it had a button that did this. Cool, that's a great place to start. And then maybe that snowballs into you doing other things with that plugin or with that plugin author as well. But yeah, if that still sounds appealing, feel free to hit me up over on LOTRO Interface. I will see that message sometime, although my daily life is kind of busy, so sometimes the messages there languish for a little while. But cool, thanks very much for asking. Okay, so we have some plausible quests that we want to show progress on. Did I finish looking at them all? I think I did. Let's double check. So, dishes, stuff in the stuffed, empty keg, broken. I feel pretty good about that. Eating the food is one that we could do, but I don't remember what those are. And we'll start with the rest of these, and then we'll just make a note. Plus eating competition tables, question mark. So we want to figure out what these strings look like in does the new progress system work, question mark. So where did I put these? Oh, I must have closed. Oh, there it is. Why is that in a different window? Okay, so collected unwilling firewood. Is this key listed anywhere else? It is not. So it's not explicitly linked in to that quest. Okay, but if we go look at that, lore, quests, and unwilling firewood. Let's find that. Okay, so that is the quest details. Okay, collect firewood from the best trees. That's the progress override, but that's not what we see in the chat. Okay. Harder branch, count 9. Okay. In the labels, we get collected unwilling firewood. Fair enough. I mean, it stands to reason that maybe the wiki is going to have that information that we can use as a starting point. Let's come take a look. So, collected unwilling firewood, 9 of 9. That's progress, or that's good potential. So let's look at my other quests that I have lined up here. That's the abominable snow beasts. Because that was collect 9 firewood, and that's going to be the collected unwilling firewood law. Okay. There's a cat snoring over there. I can just hear her. So, abominable snow beasts brought cheer to the snow beast. Great. Let's check that out. Brought cheer to the snow beast. 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. That is fantastic. So they did exactly what I was talking about before. Instead of doing a regular expression / pattern, they just put all 3 of them in there. That's fantastic. I love it. 1, 2, 3. Appears completely uninterested in your merriment. So they must have run that same benefit and decided, no, we'll just put all 3 of them in there. It's fine. Or they had an intern do it and they didn't know what they were doing. Like, so many options. Okay. But we can go ahead and bring this in. Where'd it go? Okay. So that is abominable snow beasts. Brought some cheer to the snow beasts. Great. So disperse for winter weather. That's cold as ice. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Quest, cold as ice, thank you. And that's dispersed wintry weather. Okay, that one is there. Making mischief. Yes, please. Pickpocket of wealthy patrons, 0 of 8. No, looted a distracted patron. Yeah, the 2 messages are a little bit different. I noticed that now we're at current and max instead of number and total. I kind of like current and max better. So it's entirely possible that I'm going to be changing those to match that. Let's go ahead and look up tidying up next, though. All right, awesome, love it. Thank you, Wiki. All right, I don't remember how to do nested things, but that's okay. All right, picked up dirty dishes. Back to number and total. Clean up 10 liquid spill. And clean up 10 reeking garbage. Okay, stuffing the stuffed. We have, again, multiples here. So we're going to go ahead and indent. And let's get the entries here. All right, chicken says, collected berries. Okay, collected berries. The next one probably is collected berries. No, that's funny. We're doing cave claws. That's awesome. Different berries. All right. Baked bread. That's why it is a little inconvenient to not have this available to test during Yule, because what I think is good for a simulated message may not actually match the in-game one. For instance, collecting the berries for the treasure event versus Yule. So obviously that we're going to have a reminder at the beginning of next Yule to go and double check that this all works. Okay, what did I just copy? Baked bread. Make free fresh breads. Okay, baked bread, blah. Collected eggs. Oh, here, this berries is looking better. So let's go ahead and copy that off because, well, I think those two berry messages, wait, berries? Yeah, they do look the same, but it's good to double check. And then collected mushrooms. Okay. So, let's go ahead and just in general, make some new lines here. So, oh good, it is doing indented bulleted lists. Yay. So, we have the messages for Snowbeast, Winter Weather, Distracted Patrons, dishes, spills, and garbage, breads, eggs, winterberries, mushrooms, and firewood. What is the eating competition? Eating competition. The biggest stomach of them all. Great. Okay. So, there's 5 of them. 8. Oh, hey, there it is. And again, they have spelled them all out as opposed to doing those placeholders. Fascinating. Okay, so that's stuffing the stuffed. But then we can say ate food at the and come to second station. Second table. Okay. Third station. Third, I guess station is better because each station has multiple tables. Okay, fourth. Cool. And fifth. Great. So, but what do we actually call those? Stuffing the stuffed. Eat food at the first station. Okay. Eat food at the second station. Eat food at the third station. At least they're pretty regular. Eat food at the 4th station, and eat food at the 5th station. Great. Cool. So that's stuffing the stuff. So that is all of them. So we're going to go ahead and copy that into our clipboard just in case of an issue, and then comment. So these are the ones that we want to have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Although if we were clever, we could do all of these in one. I don't think we want to do that. No, I don't think we can be that clever. So we have 16 of these. Or if we balloon them out, we have 25 plus 9 for the firewood, 5, 5, 5, 3, 10, 10, 10, 8, 4, and 3. So this would be 97 fully expanded messages, or 16 regular pattern messages. Now I do like current and max better than number and total, so we're going to go ahead and find all dot number. Actually, I'll just number, that's fine. No, dot, okay. This is going to be objective dot current and objective dot current. I like that better. It's total all the way around though, and I am fine with that. Okay. Yeah, I don't like the idea of doing 100 strings for this. The pattern matching should be pretty fast because it should fail out really fast. I don't know under the covers how optimized this is, but you should get like a couple characters in and abandon the effort. So while spinning up the regular expression would take some ticks, and also under the covers they just kind of reuse it, the actual execution of the pattern matching most of the time should fail really fast because Lucha to Distracted Patron, you just don't see that as a quest. Like LO, you get that far in, and most of the time it should stop. So we're not doing a full parse with all of the captures for every string. It should early exit. So I'm going to say, let's just pay attention for any possible slowdowns, and go with this. So we can flesh out the English values here. And to do that, I'm actually going to copy this and come on into here. And go ahead and start populating this. So we have brought cheer to the snow beast. And this is going to be equals a Yule index dot something. So that is the abominable snow beast cheer. Okay, but we know that needs to be the parentheses need to be escaped. We want a new line at the end, probably. In general, strings that come in have that new line attached to them. They do in the state chat, and I'm pretty sure they do in Quest as well. I suppose we could do a quick little check for things. Let's look for completed quest. Oh, that's straight up fine. Okay, completed quest. Find selected quest. That's doing it differently. Okay, I can't trust that. Oh, we're not doing patterns there. Oh, of course. Okay. But we're not seeing a new line there. Okay, stuff and say that has a new line. And French, okay. The farmer, but that is again is in slash say. That's stuff to be displayed. This is more slash say. Why is there a backslash n there? Because it would be there, okay? I'm not convinced quest stuff does come in with a new line. So, when LOTRO is available, do quest progressions come in, have a new line character at the end? If not, we'll want to take that into account. To do, check if /n is needed for quest progression entries. Cool. Okay. But for now, we're going to go ahead and do that. So we need a capture group that takes one or more number characters. And same thing there. So we have Abominable Snowbeast Cheer. Cool. The next equals 0. We're going to go ahead and copy paste this a couple times. I think I said I had 16 of these. And the UI is helpfully telling me that I have some duplicated entries here. Well, you know what? We are almost 2 hours into this LOTRO stream. LOTRO hasn't made itself available, but we're doing pretty well. So I think I'm going to try, just for the heck of it, to get into LOTRO, and then I'm going to go ahead and flesh out this entry of Lua patterns and their associated quest guide indices, and then that'll probably bring us to the end of this stream, and then maybe I'll get back into LOTRO someday. That'd be lovely. But that being said, now's a great time to get any last minute questions, comments, concerns into chat so that we can take a look at them before the end of the stream. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do this. But remember that this is specifically the English version of these strings. So after I'm done to do, add German and French versions of this table. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Yeah, so we'll need the German and French versions of this, but I'm basically copy pasting the text out of the data dumps from the game, so I can be pretty assured that that's going to match. So that'll be a good starting place. Okay, so error, taking a number. Oh well. We're going to go ahead and continue. That was the Abominable Snowbeast Cheer, done. Cold as ice, dispersed wintry weather. So that's going to be dispersed wintry weather. And you know what? I'm going to hold off on the new lines, and I'm going to hold off on replacing these until I can just copy paste them. So we're going to go ahead and find the dispersed. So wintry, dispersed for wintry weather. That's cold as ice, disperse. Great. Yule index dot cold as ice disperse. You know what? Let's go ahead and make something that's obviously wrong and swap that out here. Great. Okay. That's next up is this. We want looted the patron. And that's going to be making mischief loot. Okay. I'll be a little bit faster that way. Tidying up. So we have picked up dirty dishes. We have a cat making noise. Cleaned up liquid spills. And cleaned up reeking garbage. And for these, we're going to go ahead and just grab all 3 of those. And then come on down here and replace all those. Cool. Wait, yeah, garbage, spills, dishes, that's the right order. Okay. The next ones, get rid of that. Stuffing the stuffed. Baked bread. Yum. So, make 3 fresh breads. That's going to be stuffing the stuffed. Done. Collect 5 eggs. That's stuffing the stuffed. And that brings us back down here. Great. 5 winter berries. Oh yeah, and mushrooms. Great. Collect 5 winter berries. And pampered mushrooms. We also need the unwilling firewood entry. We actually have the unwilling firewood entry. Great. Stuffing the stuffed. So we're going to need to swap in patterns for those explicit numbers in any of those cases that we have that. But that's okay. We'll come do that. And then 8 food at the first station. So that's station 1. Station 2, station 3, station 4, station 5. Great. So, is that actually 16? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 16 of them. Great. So, any of these cases that have number total, let's go ahead and swap in our Lua patterns. Anything that has current and a max, do the same. And then the final one here, 1 to 5, we're going to do the same thing. So that gives us our patterns for each of those. So we have the ability to detect when we do a quest progression, match it with a specific quest in the, or a specific item in our quick guide, and then using the quick guide windows handle quest channel text, we'll be able to, oh, actually that's the wrong one, I think. Oh no. Oh, that's fine. So if there is a progress entry for this, sorry, if there's a progress table for this festival, then we can go through each one of them. We can misspell progress, apparently. That's exciting. We can go through each entry in there and then try to do a match. And if there was a match, then we can go ahead and do this logic. Otherwise, we continue. Actually, we can just return once there was a match. And I'm a little unhappy with all of these returns here because it means we can't do anything after this. This has to be the last thing in the function, or we can spin it off into its own function. And that's what I'm inclined to do right now. So function, quick guide handle this for objectives. See message. So, and then we're going to go ahead and do this. and call this see message. And then we can do same basic idea. Function this progress see message. And this means we can take all of this into this function here, and then we can exit out of this function at any time we want and not disturb the rest of the parsing of this. Now, this may be the only thing we ever add here, but it means we can freely add more things to this function without tripping over these return statements without realizing it, where you get that intermittent thing where it works as long as you aren't talking about an entry that has progress. If there's progress, then suddenly this other thing doesn't work. And why doesn't it work? Tear your hair out until you see these return statements and think, ah, my code's never being executed. Fantastic. So we're just protecting ourselves against that going forward. Okay, so we do that. We do that. And using our lookup table of patterns, we're matching against this message. If there's a match, we go ahead and update. What do we do with tree node? Oh, yes. We update the things, the current and total value for that quick guide entry, and then we tell the tree node to update us. Well, we update the tree node and using the update node text function that we have, and then we'll call that function, or we'll get that string, and then we'll slap this onto the end of it. And this should happen all the time. We always have a total for these things. Oh, we don't always have a total for these things. Let's add a total for these things. So any one of these entries where we are looking at this, we're going to go ahead and, oh, I don't like that search at all. Let's fix that. We're going to go ahead and add that entry. So that is in here. So that is, let's see, move them off. No, abominable snow beast. Yes. Oh, we're in the wrong place. There we go. Abominable snow beast. Yes. So we have total equals 3, I think. Yep, we can see total down there. We can see number. Do we need number? We do not. We do. Dot current. Let's assume we don't need that. Current, yep, and then, yes. Local current equals this or 0. So if there is a value in object.current, we'll use that. Otherwise, we'll just default to a 0 value. So missing equals 0, that's fine. But that means we do not need to add a pretty much meaningless entry over here. Total is fine. So we have total equals 3 for that. Moving them off, nope. Moving them off, cold as ice pickup. We don't want pickup. We want, oh, it's not the abominable snow beasts. Snow beasts. That's cheer. So we have total equals 3. Great. I should be double checking that I'm putting these in the right place using this. So unwilling firewood. Yep. I was in fact doing it wrong. So that's unwilling firewood collect, and that's total equals 9. Bottomless snow beast cheer. That's the wrong key. Cool, we have our 3. Cold as ice dispersed. Awesome, we have our total equals 4. Making mischief is 8 equals 8. Tidying up dishes, yeah, total equals 10. Same for spills, same for garbage. Stuffing the stuffed bread, total equals 3. Stuffing stuffed eggs, total equals 5, I believe. Berries, same thing. Great. Stuffing the stuffed mushrooms, also 5. Biggest stomach of them all. Total equals, is it just 5 at a table? Yeah, I think so. Cool. Station 2, total, station 3 total, station 4 total, and station 5 total. Cool. So all of those have corresponding entries in their their quick guide Yule entry. So we can then key off of that in the chat logger, which is looking for that in the progress here. So we have a quick guide progress. We have an entry for this festival. We go through each one of these entries in the festival. That's over here. We go through each one of these entries in the festival. Then if there's a match, then we get these, the number in total out of it. And let's go ahead and get that to current as well. We get the current and total out of it. So from the index, we get the tree node, the objective. We update the current and total for the objective. Now, updating the total doesn't seem necessary, but we can do it and update the node text. Now, we could check to make sure these things are numbers that we parsed out and not something else weird, but I think that's a good first approximation. Then we update the text just on that node, nothing else, and call it a day. Okay, well, I'm going to do one last attempt to load LOTRO. I assume it will not work, and then we'll go ahead and bring the stream to a close. But if it does work, we might do some testing as well. We'll see. I'm not crossing my fingers on that one. Service news, we're continuing to work on restoring login and will keep you updated. Okay, fair enough. It's not looking good. That'll teach me to log off while I'm switching to streaming mode. Tisk tisk. Okay, well, assuming that's not going to work. So what have we done? Let's take a look at our source control here. What we've done is we have said there's going to be a new structure, optional structure for quick guides called progress. That progress structure is going to be language specific with the pattern entries that give us the current value and the total value if there's a match. And we have entries, language, not language specific entries that tell us the expected total, so starting total, that is going to indicate that an entry is participating in this system. So that's those three sets. In the meantime, our chat logger has a new line that we don't care about. I do kind of like that new line actually. Added new line for vertical spacing, but it's unrelated to everything else we're doing. Okay, our options window is changing how they do that update all nodes text. So that's going to be like a separate commit once we're convinced it actually works. And in the quick guide window, this is the biggest piece of changes here. So we have taken some of what happens in the quick guide create node, and we spun that off into its own update node text and update all nodes text functions. But we can go ahead and manually line these up and say, okay, these are two new functions. Then we took this stuff out of there and replaced it with this call to that new function. And we have, instead of a get checkbox function, we now have a get tree node from index function that get checkbox can call for the heavy lifting of finding a tree node and then just return the checkbox from there. I assume getting the checkbox was convenient enough that I didn't think to do this before, but now we want that tree node. Do we want that tree node? What are we doing in the tree node besides checkbox? That would be funny if that turned unnecessary. So a quick guide window. Let's go ahead and where is this getting called from? From there, but here tree node. Oh, we're calling update node on the tree node because we need the index. Okay, that's all good. We're doing great. Okay, coming back in. So we have the get tree node from index because the index. No, that's funny. No, we need to pass it to a function that's taking the tree node. Oh, that's fine. So we split off that functionality. We have split off the handling the quest channel text function so that the initial functionality is in one function, and now we also have a second function that can take advantage of return statements to early exit without impacting anything else that goes on in this function. And that might be it. It's hard to know because we can't test, and usually after I've written this much code, there's some error, either in syntax or in semantics, that I then need to hunt down and fix. That's just the nature of it. It's very difficult to spin this out completely correct on the first go. But until LOTRO fixes their login system, that's not going to be available. So, I think that's probably a good place for us to end. We'll just have LOTRO or lack thereof here in the background. And I think that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins and the writing of them when LOTRO isn't available. I do hope to see you here next week. And until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.